Welcome to another episode of Comrades, with the podcast devoted to the FX series The Americans. My name is Scott Malthus, and with me as always is Jeff Marsick.
That's right, that's me.
Jeff is operating on daylight savings time. Well, it's not really 1:30 yet. It does switch over 2 a.m., right? So you've still got it's a 2 a.m. So you got an hour and a half before you lose an hour.
Oh my gosh, we're recording late on a Saturday night. It's like 12:30 my time Eastern. Scott's out there on the Best Coast, so
Where it was a balmy 80 degrees this afternoon.
I hate you. Actually, it wasn't too bad out here. It was like mid-40s. So
Mid-40s. That's not too bad. That's like a heat wave in the middle of March. I remember those days when I was young. It'd be like, oh my God, it's a heat wave. People start taking off their shirts and everything, running around, and it's 40 degrees up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's cold.
Especially the winter we've had.
Yeah, you guys have had a gnarly winter. We had a week of rain, and that's it.
Yeah,
You hate me.
I hate you.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What I'm not sorry about is how awesome it is to talk to you on a late Saturday night to talk about the Americans. That was a nice little transition, huh? That's a little segue.
Nice.
I've been working on it. I'm a little out of practice there, but I'm getting there. Sorry. How have you been otherwise? Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Can't complain.
You know, we're allowed to ask these things on these podcasts because our fans care. They care about you, Jeff.
Well, they care about you too, Scott. What's going on in the world of pop dose these days?
Pop Dose is chugging right along. You know, it's. I just found out this week that we are the 9th most read music blog on the internet.
Oh, wow.
9th. Yeah, isn't that impressive?
It is. Top 10, baby.
Top 10. And one of them is a defunct website, which is Spinner. It's still number 1. But, yeah.
Wait. Spinner's defunct and it's still number 1.
Yeah. Somebody, at least I think that's what one of my co-writers said, that Spinner is a defunct website, and it's still a number 1.
So they must have just incredible archives of old material that people are just going back to read, huh?
Or they converted it to a porn site and didn't tell anyone.
I
don't know.
That happened to Scott and I used to do, we had a comic book.
It got converted to
an
porn?
issue. Yeah, we did this comic book Wendover. We did one issue, and then our artist, we had issue 2 ready to go, but our artist got picked up to go to school for visual arts, so we only had one issue.
Hold on. He drew the second issue.
That's true, he did.
And he got notes.
Yeah.
And then we never heard from him again.
Yeah, he got called away to school for visual arts, so...
Okay.
Hold on a second. All right, I'm starting again here.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had the second issue drawn. We had notes about some things that needed to be changed, but then he went to school, and yeah, you're right. We never heard from him again. Whatever. He's at school, and I know it's busy and stuff. I actually ran into him at a convention after that, but we let the website lapse. And what happens is like a virus, when you let a website lapse, when you don't renew it, porn just rolls right in and takes it over. Yeah, so I had at the bottom of my signature on emails, right? I've got my Z-Girl and the Four Tigers, my Dead Man's Party, and I got Wendover and the website links. And somebody that I had talked to last year said, hey, by the way, I don't know if you want to put this on your signature, but Wendover's a porn site now. I was like, what?
Oh.
And it is.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what happened. So.
Wow. I hope my parents didn't go there.
So that's why I don't announce Wendover anymore. But
that is it. Jeff is drinking from the world's most awesome mug right now.
Scott can see my.
It's got who are you? That's Superman, Flash. Who else is on?
Lex Luthor, Batman, the Joker, Green Lantern.
That's nice.
It's from the Warner Brothers store, man.
That's excellent.
Back when Warner Brothers had a store.
They do have a store online now.
Yeah, but they don't have the cool stuff like they used to.
No, but nobody has the cool stuff anymore. Speaking of porn, this week's episode of The Americans had a classic cover from Playboy with Bo Derek on it.
That's right.
I remember that cover. I can't remember how I saw that cover. My brother must have had that cover. He must have had that issue. I can't say cover. I say cover like he just ripped it off and brought the cover home. He had the whole issue.
Did your brother have a subscription?
Oh, heck no, man. Not with my parents. I don't know where he brought. He was in college. He must have gotten out of college. I don't know. But it was 81, so he was still in high school. I don't know.
Kids our age or friends of ours that we had. I mean, I had friends a couple years younger than me. They had Playboy subscriptions. I was in awe and envy of them.
Yeah, that was not something that my father had, or my mother. But yeah, definitely not my father.
No, me neither.
I had a friend whose father had a Hustler subscription.
Oh, that's a step up, man.
That takes some major cojones to get that in the mail, man.
There were a couple other 80s references in here that I was kind of geeked about. The Alphabets.
Oh, that was awesome. They don't make that anymore, do they?
No, they don't.
Holy cow. Alphabets, man. That was awesome. Alphabets are basically Lucky Charms, but with sugar coating on them, aren't they?
Yeah, and without the
without the marshmallows. Although I think they did make marshmallow alphabets.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
I think towards the end, when the alphabets stock was getting low,
when the sales were going down,
stock was dropping in the alphabets. It's like, how can we get more people to eat our sugar cereal? I got it. Let's put marshmallows in it.
Well, it's like my kids. I've just recently they see all these commercials and stuff, and every time we go to the store, they're like, "Oh, Lucky Charms, Lucky Charms." I'm like, no, you're not getting Lucky Charms. So they've never had Lucky Charms up until past couple weeks.
What kind of father are you?
I know. I'm trying to be a responsible father.
You so I got Lucky Charms. All those organic food stores, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh man, awesome.
No, but here's the thing though. No, but here's the thing. So I get it for them, and we got strict rules. Okay, you can only have the Lucky Charms. You can only assuage my guilt by having Lucky Charms on weekends. Okay, that's fine. So the kids are all excited. They're like, "Oh, weekends!"
What do they eat during the week?
Well, during the week they eat their normal stuff, whatever they have.
Kashi.
Yeah, but who eats the Lucky Charms during the week? That's right, Daddy does. Sneaking a bowl like an addict here and there.
Oh my God! At work, where I work. They have a cereal bar, and it's stocked 24/7, and it's got Lucky Charms.
Nice.
It's got Kashi cereal. Well, it's like eating cardboard. No offense, right. Kashi folks. Eat Kashi; it's good for you. Brought to you by the Kashi family. No, not really. Sorry. Maybe Rob can go get some Kashi for us. It has plain Cheerios, and it has Fruity Pebbles, which are like cereal crack.
Cereal crack. Yep.
I mean, you can't have one bowl. You got to have like 6. It's like, right. that didn't fill me up. I'll have another one. That would then by the time you're done, you're like, that didn't fill me up.
And then it didn't fill me up. And then the milk has turned the color of. I used to always get the Cocoa Pebbles because I had chocolate milk. Now when I have my sugar fix, but I have chocolate milk at the end.
Yes.
The other thing that made me think of the 80s was frozen OJ.
Oh well, they still have frozen orange juice. You do know that, right? They have those in the freezer. Yes.
I'm just so used to buying orange juice I'm just so used to buying orange. We used
to
always
make that.
My family used to always buy the frozen orange juice concentrate.
Yep. Of course.
That and Tang. I lived on both
Tang,
of those.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have Tang in the summers when we go on family vacations. You have Tang, and then in the summers we'd have pimento loaf, which was the worst meat ever. Have you had that? Which is like
I loved it.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God!
I would specifically request it, and now
you are kidding me, really?
No, I absolutely loved it.
You were a strange kid, dude.
Yes, and now oh my God, it's gag reflex just to even think about it.
We also have, my mom would always make pistachio pudding, like the Jell-O instant pudding.
See, that's evil. Pistachio pudding.
Pistachio?
Why
can't we have vanilla or no, pistachio is cheap.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Getting flashback things here. Oh, okay.
All right.
So
on that note,
let's jump ahead. Let's jump back in time to the Americans. We had another episode this week written by show creator Joe Weisberg and his fellow showrunner Joel Fields. This is kind of like a part two, I guess you would say, of last week's episode. And this one was directed by Daniel Sackheim, and this episode was called Cardinal. And it was, like I said, it was a continuation of the events that happened last week, which was as you may recall, Philip and Elizabeth came across these two friends of theirs, these two fellow KGB agents who also have a family, and they discovered that Emmett and Leanne had been assassinated along with their daughter. And it was shocking. And the ramifications of that event are felt throughout the new episode. I mean, this episode I felt wasn't heavy on action. It was really just a slow burn, more of a really conspiracy building episode. Would you agree or not?
No, I definitely agree, and I think the one effect that you saw it had the biggest impact. The events of last episode, the biggest effect on was Elizabeth and how her maternal instincts really got a jolt.
Yes.
And she was much more maternal. We see it in two instances, one with her kids and one later on with the Sandinista spy.
That's right. This whole episode, I would say, was all about paranoia. And the only thing missing from this episode, which they could have thrown in there, was the Kinks song Destroyer, which is all about paranoia, which was released in 1981. You know that song, right?
What song?
Destroyer by the Kinks.
Oh!
Paranoia.
Yes, you're right.
Met a girl named Lola, and I took her back to my place. Something. There's a red under my bed, yellow man inside of my. That song was actually released in 1981. And this episode, I believe it's supposed to be 82, but I have some issues with that because somehow Raiders of the Lost Ark is still in movie theaters, but I feel like it's the fall. So I'm a little confused. I didn't think Raiders was in that long, especially in DC. But Jeff's giving me the stink eye. He's like, "You're being too picky. It's Raiders, dude. Raiders have been there 2 years."
And you have no idea. Was it an indie, a small theater that kept showing it? I mean,
it was a small little mom and pop place like the National. Remember the National?
I remember the National.
National was a theater in North Olmsted where we grew up, which was basically a second-run theater, and they'd have but used to be one theater, and they split it down the middle and made it into two. And
that's right.
Theater, and like Mondays and Tuesdays, it'd have dollar movie night. Although I saw the re-release of Gone with the Wind there, which was my very first movie memories, Gone with the Wind, and I still remember being at the National and seeing that. I remember being in the parking lot of the National, having gone to it, and I remember one scene from Gone with the Wind, and that was my first movie memory. Then the National doesn't exist anymore. It's a bank now.
Memories.
Oh, Jeff, you're gonna get us. Webshare's coming after us, dude. Oh my gosh. So, this episode opens up with Elizabeth is receiving a code from a Moscow numbers station. I just wanted to use number station, and I just like the idea of a numbers. You know what a number station is, right?
No.
I only know this because I saw a movie with John Cusack in it called The Number Station. But it's supposedly this remote, secret station that people are...
Like Ice Station Zebra?
Well, no, it's like these people go into this barricaded place, and they're just sent a code. And they don't know what the code means. They're just sent a code, and then they broadcast the code so the agents can hear it. So it's like basics, so... If they get caught by U.S., they're KGB and they get caught by the U.S., they don't know what's going on because they're just reading a bunch of numbers. They don't have codes. It's a number station. It's not a great movie. It's okay. It's great. It's in a long line.
It makes me think of like a big Keno spot in a casino. There's just a bunch of numbers on a wall. I don't know what they mean.
Well, people are putting money on it. So Elizabeth is receiving code from Moscow, but she's distracted, Jeff. She's distracted. Every car that passes by, every jogger that runs by the house, every family saying goodbye to their dad in the morning, could they be the ones responsible for the gruesome assassination of Emmett and Liam?
Paranoia.
Deep Destroyer. I wonder since we both don't sing it together if we can get away with it. But
well, then she's also
she's really just she's messed up. She is messed in the head.
Well, she is, but then she also has her kids. Again, the whole maternal thing. Her kids are downstairs. Hey, Mom, we're up. We're ready. Where's breakfast?
Right, exactly.
And so she ditches her listening device. And
she doesn't even hide it very well. She just kind of shoves it under her. I mean, she's off her game this whole episode.
Very unlike her. Right. Just the way she just dropped it in the laundry basket and just threw some clothes over it. And very unlike her. I
thought that was kind of cool because we haven't seen that side of her. We really haven't seen that side of her. And it's very interesting because I'm interested to see how this plays out through the rest of the season because, this could affect her ability to act as a good agent and what happens in that kind of situation. I don't know.
Yeah, because she was so meticulous. I was just going to say she was so meticulous about her job in the first season that it's going to be interesting to see if motherhood ends up being a liability for her.
Well, yeah, and the other interesting thing I just thought was remember in the pilot that she was all over Philip saying, "I can't. You want to stay here." She was angry at him. And now it's kind of flipped. I mean, he's not as extreme as she was, but now Philip is the one who's all about the job, or he's more focused when it comes to the job than she is. I mean, obviously he still cares more about the family, that whole event last week has affected him. But I think what I'm getting from it is Elizabeth is not used to having these kind of feelings, so she's really off her game because she's usually so focused. Now and I think she says it's at the end of the episode. I always expected that the end result for us might be death, but she never thought it would happen. Anything would happen to the kids. So, her world is rocked, and it's interesting. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to watch. And while that's going on, Philip's not even. And then what's making that worse is Philip's not even home. He's off acting as Clark, living with Martha. And it was an interesting. That scene was I didn't know where it was going, and then until Martha says, "Oh, another department is looking for clerks. I think I'm going to go apply for a job." The whole reason that Clark is married to Martha is because she's working as a spy for him in counterintelligence. So, of course, he's freaking out. It's funny to watch Philip go, "What? I don't want to be married to this crazy woman." So he's got to talk her out. He's like, "But you're doing important business, and you should stay in counterintelligence and apply to be a clerk there." And so that scene was the thing that struck me about that scene. What's funny was just how much they've already fallen into the roles of the typical married couple. They're just having a conversation at breakfast, and then he gets up to leave, and she's like, "Oh, have a good flight," and they just he's gone, and it's like the romance is already gone out of that relationship. Yeah. So I thought
and it's just so weird too. He's never there, and it's just such a weird dynamic. And we talked about last week about how there were women in the 80s and 90s that had husbands that had no idea that they were spies, and it's just weird that the relationship.
I know. Well, this one. I do wonder if there were relationships where a guy left as often as Philip leaves the house. I don't know. Maybe it's based on something that actually happened, which is crazy. And she's pretty gullible, so
horribly gullible.
Yes. So we'll see what happens with that. That storyline, I have to be honest, would not bug me too much if it went away.
Right.
And I'm interested to see where it goes because I have a feeling, I don't know, at the end, Martha's like, "I'm getting a gun," and I could just see that going disastrously bad in some way. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we had the credits. The credits were the same. Those cool, awesome credits. The awesome music. The kind of Russian-ish music, I guess. Was that Russian-esque music? Soviet-esque? Soviet-esque?
I'm not savvy with the Soviet-esque music, so it sounded Soviet.
Okay. Doodly, 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 doodly. Anyway, Act 1 begins, and we're at the Russian embassy, and they're in high alert. We're trying to uncover what happened to the two operatives who got killed. So obviously, it seems that it wasn't the Russians that killed them. Meanwhile, while everybody is running around and they're doing secret meetings, and Nina's being told by Ivanovich, I want these guys and I want these guys. Oleg, the suave '80s dressing new operative, is saying, "Hey, I need the information from that drop that happened last week."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, we're having important business going on." And he's like, "What business?" So the death of the operatives is being kept secret from everybody except anyone who's in the know. And Oleg actually needs, what we find out from him saying is like he needs the information that was left because it has something to do with some special science and technology mission. So we don't know what that's about until the very end. It all ties together nicely at the end. Would you not agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. I heard some banging in the background. I thought it was some Russian spies or something. I was kind of nervous.
Spies about to break in.
Spies like us.
That was a great movie.
Oh yes, Doctor.
Oh,
it's late. I love that movie. That movie was ridiculous and it was awesome. And that was a really good movie.
But we digress.
Philip and Elizabeth are back at the office, and Elizabeth is really on edge. She's revealing like real fear for the children. And Philip comes back. He's listened to some information from. He's listened to a tape that he's gotten from Martha, and the tapes reveal that the FBI have no information about the about Emmett and Lan. So the FBI didn't have anything to do with their assassination. So now that creates a big question.
Yeah, there was a
creates a big question. Who was responsible?
There was a person in that scene, one of the workers who comes up to him when he comes walking in the office and goes like, "Hey, I got to talk to you. And he's like, "Just hold on a second. Let me, give me 5 minutes." And he runs something on the copier and then goes in and we never saw what that guy wanted to talk to him about.
Dangling plot point right there.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Was that intentional? I mean, it's funny because anything that happens in this show, I anticipate something bigger coming out of it.
You can't take it face value, right?
Exactly. Just like the next thing that happened, which is Stan showing up with one of his coworkers, a guy named Mike, and his brother named Stu, who is a plumber. He's getting married for the second time, and they want to go for an awesome bachelor weekend, and nothing says bachelor weekend like a dude ranch.
That was random, but I like the interaction where Stan says, "This is whatever his friend is. He's the brother of this guy," and he's like, "I'm getting married a second time. I'm going to do it right this time." And then there's this like awkward pause, and Stan's like, "Yeah,
right."
So anyway, we were looking for that was awesome.
That was awesome. Now
And then Elizabeth's like, "Oh, well, you could go to Toronto. It's
Montreal.
really nice."
Don't.
Or, I'm sorry, Montreal.
Dude, come on, that's like saying Pittsburgh and Cleveland and confusing the two.
And their eyes just kind of glaze over, like, "Oh." And then Philip's like, "Oh, there's this dude ranch and
fishing
or someplace?
And horseback riding."
And their eyes light up, and Stan's like, "Did I tell you this was the man? This was the man right here."
That's right. Now, here's my thoughts on this whole sequence. Okay. Because this sequence had some weird, besides that weird moment with the guy saying, "Hey, I got to talk to you," and then it gets left hanging. Here are my thoughts on something is good. This is too random to take up this much time in a show. Okay, so I have 3 thoughts on what's going to happen. Number 1,
3 thoughts. Okay,
3 thoughts. No, could this be? This is has to come up in a future episode. So, is this going to come up? Is Phil going to somehow go along on this trip and to find more information from Stan? That's my first thought. Number 2, or is it possible that I guess I only had 2 thoughts. Sorry. Stan, they go on the information, and Stan slips some info. Or we cut to this trip. Philip's not on the trip.
Are we still on 2 or 3?
This is 2, sorry.
Okay.
Number 1 was, could Phil go on the trip to dig information from Stan? Number 2, Philip doesn't go on the trip, but Stan goes on the trip, and Stan slips information, or he lets loose slips about Nina, and since Mike is there, and we got that, maybe something happens with that. Number 3, Philip.
Oh wait, now we have 3. I thought you said
there was 3. There was always 3. I just was on 2. Number 3. Number 3. Philip lies, says he's going on the trip, goes somewhere else, and then Paige makes some kind of statement about it to Stan, and she catches her father in a lie. Those are my 3 thoughts on this trip, because I just felt it was like too random to just kind of to spend that much time on it. It seems like this is a plot, but this is setting up something in a future episode. That's all. That's my thoughts. That
Paige one that's an interesting one. That Paige one, because I'd have gone for number 1. I think that's kind of a given.
But I don't know how Phil gets in on that trip unless Stan says, "Oh, some guy dropped out on the trip. You want to come with us or something?" But wouldn't it be great if Gad went too? Oh, that'd be totally awesome. Oh, what if he goes on the trip?
Well, you totally know Gad would go because it would be an office thing because they all work together, right?
But it's Mike's brother. But what if Phil does go?
Did he say what Mike's brother does?
Mike's brother is a plumber. He's a very wealthy plumber.
Oh, okay.
Very successful plumber.
Okay.
What if Phil went on a trip and then Stan sees him like in a certain lighting, and all of a sudden he sees that figure that's been drawn, the supposedly dead second person of the.
I don't like that. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't like that.
Sorry, that will not happen. I will not let that.
Then right into the show, and I will make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, I'll get to the PR people. The other thing that this very strange scene ended with Stan looking at a clock on the wall, and he goes, "My mother has the same clock in her kitchen." And Phil had a really weird reaction to that, looking at that clock. And I don't. What do you?
I saw that thing too, and I didn't understand that either. He was kind of like, "Oh, yeah." And again, significance. You're trying to figure out. You're trying to get one step ahead of where the writers are going, and I don't know unless there's another. That clock shows up again somewhere else down the line, and Stan's like, "I've seen that clock before. It's in the travel agency."
Oh, maybe Philip will put a recording device in his clock, and then he'll switch it out with Stan's mom's clock.
Oh, now you're talking.
Because Stan's mom has always got information.
Right.
You never know. That clock's going to come up at some point, too. You're limited for screen time. You don't just point that out,
That's true.
Well, I guess you could. I mean, if you're really idiosyncratic. But that show has not been that kind of a show.
No, and it would just be weird just to... Yeah, so what? So you got the same clock that we do. Big deal.
And why would Phil react the way he did? So that was the thing. That was the thing that was weird about it. It was like, if it was just an observation, that'd be cool. But the way he was like...
there's something about the similarity. The similarity between the clocks are because they're equal, they're the same, means that
maybe Stan's mom is Claudia.
Yeah. Then Stan is the dumbest FBI agent outside of anyone who's on the following. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Okay. We go back to the embassy, and Oleg has begun flirting with Nina. He starts talking about his preferences for new wave music and how he digs Blondie, not because of her hair color, because she's wild.
She's wild.
Of course, he says it much cooler than I do because he's speaking in Russian. He speaks only in Russian.
That's right.
That's just what I like about this. I like that forces you to pay attention because, of course, when you pause it with my DVR, it always covers up all the stuff that I'm pausing to try and read.
Oh, I know. Mine too. So annoying. I also don't like the fact that you got DirecTV. I've got AT&T Uverse out here. I don't like the fact that I can't go frame by frame. When I had TiVo, I could, and I can't do TiVo and AT&T at the same time. On TiVo, I could go frame by frame to see stuff, and I can't do frame by frame anymore. So annoying.
I'm same here, man. Once DirecTV got rid of TiVo and switched to their own DVR, I can't do the same thing. TiVo was awesome. Rob, I really want TiVo to sponsor our website.
Oh, yes. If TiVo sponsors our website, I love TiVo. I think they're fantastic.
I thought TiVo was the best. TiVo was way better than any other DVR I've ever had.
Yep. Well, I got to say, out here we got Cablevision and we got AT&T Uverse. We used to have Cablevision. Their box is awful. The menu is terrible. It's just awful. We switched to AT&T Uverse. Oh, it's like moving from changing your car from an AMC Pacer to a Cadillac. It's just it's awesome.
That's good. Okay. TiVo, if you're listening to us, we'd love for you to sponsor our website.
Absolutely. So my question is with Annette Mahendru, and I'm looking it up real quick.
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go. It probably answers my question. I wondered how she... I don't know why I just ask questions. I should just Wikipedia it, and it'll give me my answers.
Because Wikipedia is 100% foolproof.
Absolutely. Annette Mahendru, she was born to a Russian mother and a Hindu Indian father in Afghanistan. And she's fluent in German, Russian, and English. And she also speaks French, Persian, and Hindi. So clearly she's, not an overachiever at all.
She grew up speaking Russian with her mother.
That would be my guess now. The reason why I bring that up is because her accent is just, she's just... What do I know? What do I know of Russian? She sounds like she's very fluent and perfect, and so...
No, she's good. All the people speaking Russian, I would think that they're all Russian, but they all speak flawlessly. So, kudos to the acting on the show.
She was on Entourage. She did an episode of Entourage. She was the French girlfriend.
Well, she can speak French.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, all right.
All right then. Moving on.
Meanwhile, so. Oleg has some interesting things he says here. He says to Nina, "You're the first person who wasn't exactly what they seemed," which is an interesting piece of dialogue.
That was a very interesting dialogue. Yep.
Which I think which comes back later. Which is I liked how this episode. I watched it the second time because first time I watched it on Wednesday night, and because I had to record it so late, I'm kind of in that dream zone when you kind of are dozing, but you keep waking up, so the movie's what you're watching seems like a dream.
Yeah, like I am now.
So I watched it again. What's that?
I said like I am now in this recording.
Exactly. Jeff's gonna play this back. He's like, I don't remember talking about those moments when I was swimming naked.
If there's such a thing as sleep podcasting, I'm doing it.
That's right. He's got his eyes open, but I don't think he's awake. But that'll come back later. That was an interesting. There's a lot of times during this episode where there's a lot of foreshadowing in the dialogue that comes back to play in actions that take place later in the episode, and they're just very subtle, which is what I liked about it. Which I like about the writing on the show. They will say things that if you're not paying attention. It's still structured in a way that you still can watch the show and, okay, this next event is happening.
Right.
But if you are really focused on it, then the cool thing is you'll catch these little clues and stuff like that. Which
what annoys me? About these shows with subtitles is I like the fact that they're speaking in Russian because that lends authenticity. They wouldn't be speaking English in their embassy, so I get that, and that's fine. But the problem with the subtitles is you got to read the subtitles, which means that you can't be watching the actors and the actresses as they're doing their craft. So I'm reading, and then I have to go back and watch the entire scene again this time, and then watch the actors, and then I go back and watch it a third time, and kind of flip back and forth between.
Do you ever go watch a foreign film, Jeff?
I do, and I have the same problem. I do the same thing. Sorry. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I had to watch 5 times.
Wow, I pity you. I didn't love that movie as much as other people did. Okay.
You didn't love it as much as
No, I think a lot of people, I thought everybody loved that movie and thought it was the greatest thing ever, and I watched it and I was like, yeah, okay. But English movies kind of do that to me. They seem they don't do much for me, really.
I didn't think, I thought it was a good movie.
Sense and Sensibility.
Just as an aside of digression, one of the worst experiences ever watching a movie was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Because we're sitting there in the theater, my wife and I, we're watching, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we're sitting there, we're watching it, and I'm hearing this buzzing behind me. I'm like, the hell is that noise? And it keeps going. It keeps going. Turn around, I look, and there's a guy there with his 5-year-old kid. He's reading the subtitles to his son during the movie. And I'm like, no, not 2 rows behind me. Move! Yeah, I mean, it was awful.
Sorry. I went to I thought what you were going to say is you went to a hearing impaired screening of Crouching Tiger.
No.
Which I did once to Saving Private Ryan. I went to a screening of Saving Private Ryan. It was like after all the Academy Awards, the movie was out of the theaters, and I'm just digging through the newspaper to see something. And there it is. I see this one screening in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm going to that, man. I haven't seen the movie yet. And I get to the theater, and it's not even on the marquee. I'm like, hey, is Saving Private Ryan? Oh, yeah, it's this 1:30 screening. Go on in. I get in there, and the movie starts, and all of a sudden I hear all this feedback. I'm like, what's the noise? And it's all these people, there's a deaf screening, and their hearing aids are getting people. And then the movie starts, and it's all in subtitles. It all has subtitles, which to me was great because all that stuff that's flying by and the storming of the beach, it's just like there's so much military jargon flying by. I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. I was actually able to follow the story. Otherwise, okay, I digress. I'm sorry. That scene ended with Oleg, and he says, I'm a feminist, Nina, and I only work for Mother Russia.
I like that line. I thought that was funny.
Oleg's pretty tough.
Yeah. He's going to be a thorn in the side, definitely.
He is. The Act 1 continues with Elizabeth making a drop of the tape that it was a
long Act 1.
I know. Elizabeth makes a drop, a little bit of a rock thing, and then they come back. She comes back to the travel agency again, and Philip has learned that Moscow wants them to go check out Emmett's agent, which was John Carroll Lynch, a.k.a. the Zodiac Killer, Liz once again says, I don't want anything part of it. I'm going to stay home and be with the kids. And so once again, we see Elizabeth is just kind of freaking out about this whole thing. This is really screwed with her head, and she refuses to leave the kids. And then we come back to Nina.
Just an aside. Yep. What's the one thing now that's really kicking off her paranoia? It's that public works van.
Well, that hasn't come yet. It hasn't come yet.
Yeah, it has, because he goes out of town.
It doesn't come until he leaves. It comes in Act 2. At the end of this act, it comes. You're right. Okay. That's going to set off her paranoia, and there's good reason. We understand at the end of the show. But that truck does that. That'll kickstart it. That'll really make her crazy.
Right. Okay, but I jumped ahead. Go ahead.
That's all right. Jump ahead. We're flexible here on the Comrades podcast. This one just jumps around a lot because Nina, then we cut back to the Russian embassy. Nina finally learns the truth about her friend who got killed by Stan, and she wants to get those bastards.
Oh, she is
angry. And at the last minute, this whole scene is still more in Act 1. Keeps going. And Nina finds out the truth, and then the Russians get a walk-in. This is a big to-do. An American walks into the embassy, wanting to do something for the cause, and Ivanovich is freaking out. What do I do? What do I do? Where's the deputy of Secretary of Walk-ins, or whatever he's called? Security. Sorry. And Nina's listening. Nina's becoming a very good spy. She's just taking any information she can get. Then we cut to the scene with Phil leaving the house, and that's when the public works utility truck, which a utility truck I swear to you, Jeff, I've never seen a utility truck that looks like a UPS truck. I
haven't either.
I see trucks. I've never even seen a phone truck. Every time I see a truck like that, I think UPS or FedEx. I've never seen. Usually, you see cargo van, pickup trucks.
This is the 80s too. Remember, but even then, the only public works stuff I saw, and again, it's a Cleveland thing. But remember, like Ohio Bell, before Ohio Bell was absorbed by AT&T, they had Dodge Ram vans.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe that's an East Coast thing. I mean, far East Coast thing. I don't know, but that was suspicious in itself. That truck, that truck parks across the street from the house. They get out and they're doing utility work or something, and
we don't see exactly what they're doing. They're just
there's some weird stuff going on there, and
which, in all honesty, every time you see a public truck, even now, whether it's the cable company, the phone company. You just see a truck doing work. What are they really doing?
Well, yeah, cable truck. They're up on the wire. You just kind of go, it's the cable guy. He's up on the wires.
Exactly.
Nobody asks questions.
Exactly.
Phone guys. We have a phone thing in our backyard from SBC, and they would just walk in our backyard hey, I'm going to the backyard to work on the phone box, which is like our whole neighborhood. If you have a landline, I'm like, at one point I thought, no, I don't want you going to my backyard.
As cliche as it is to have a public, a utilities person of some sort walking around doing, it really isn't. They have carte blanche to walk wherever they want.
The guys checking the gas meters, they walk in with their little clubs with in case there's a dog, and they just go and they check the meters. Yeah. Nobody stops them.
They walk with clubs?
They do walk with, not a club. I don't want. They walk with a big baseball bat. No, it's like a stick with a tennis ball on the end. It's like enough to protect themselves if a big dog tries to bite them.
Oh, like a big Rottweiler's going to come running for his genitals. He's going to be like, ball.
Well, he can just beat the thing off and goes, stay back. I'm reading the meter. Okay, I got it. Back. Ooh, that was a safe one. I don't know.
It would just crack me up if there's just a big dog bearing down you. Ball. Whoa. The dog veers. Ball. My kids love that. They once saw Peabody and Mr. Sherman.
How was
Sherman?
It? I don't know. Jeff, how can you ruin it? Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Okay, so...
Did you not watch Bullwinkle and Rocky as a child?
I, of course, did.
Okay.
But they crack up at that the commercial where Mr. Peabody's talking to Sherman, and he's like, he's talking about something, the flux capacitor, and ball, and he goes chasing after
I've never
the ball.
seen that commercial.
It's pretty funny.
It's awesome. We're still in Act 1. This is the longest act I've ever, longer than the first act of the Blacklist pilot. The walk-in guy name is Mr. Dameran, and he has something. Bruce Dameran. How many times can we say Dameran? Dameran?
Like Kirk Cameron, but Dameran.
Oh.
Bruce Dameran.
Bruce. Hello. I'm Bruce Dameran.
All right.
International spy. And he has something important about the cause. And Ivanovich was like, I can't talk to you in person, so I'm just going to talk to you through this voice box. That's all we get. Then we cut to Phil going to Chesapeake to meet up with the Zodiac's house. And he snoops around, and he puts a tape player in the phone. Speaking of utility guys, he just goes in the backyard. First he tails him. I'm sorry. He tails the Zodiac to his work, and then he watches him eat dinner at Al's Diner. And then he goes to the house. He goes
kiss
back.
My grits.
Kiss my grits. Blow, you stinky broad. Or not dingy. I said stinky.
Stinky.
The 70s. Anyways, I watched Alice like all the time in repeats.
Oh my gosh, it's classic. How can you not?
Yeah. Early, the theme song just kind of. Okay, I'm getting really off the. He goes into Zodiac's house, finds a floor panel that's loose, and inside is a lockbox, a secret lockbox, and he goes to touch it, and bam! He gets an electric shock. And first, see, I'm jumping ahead. He opens a closet, and what does he find?
Models.
That's right.
Packaged models, and let me tell you how Jones and I was to see that AT-AT model.
Dude, did you do models? I couldn't do models.
I did, yeah. So these are monogram models. There might have actually been a Revell or two in there. Monogram and Revell were the two companies that made these plastic models. And I remember one night I used to put model airplanes together all the time. So one night, it was a Friday night, I'm putting this model together in the den upstairs. Doors closed, TV's on, windows closed, doing this model, watch TV. It's the awesome night. Awesome. Go to sleep that night. I don't wake up until 3 o'clock the next afternoon. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock. I'm just like out of it. Holy cow. Well, my stepmom figures out, she's like, wow, you slept for like 18 hours. What happened? And then she thinks about it. She's like, you got stoned last night. I'd been huffing paint airplane glue for model glue all night.
Oh, that's funny.
I was banned from model airplanes for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't do it on purpose.
No.
I couldn't do models. I tried, but I was too impatient, and my fingers were just too not delicate enough. I mean, on my fingers, I would get like my thumb and my middle finger stuck together, and then I would try and put the parts together, and they wouldn't fit right, and then I'd have to pull it off, and I was terrible. Not good at models. And then, after he finds the cause for models, he opens a secret drawer, and you think something's really conspiratorial is in it. Yeah, secrets in this drawer that's locked, but it's not. It's the Bo Derek.
It's a stack of Playboys.
It's a stack of Playboys that he keeps locked. Hidden from who? Who's he locking those?
I know.
Who's alone?
Yeah, exactly. Locking
all
guy
from
that
himself.
has
definite issues. It's like, oh my god, I can't get to open it. If I open it, then I can get in that drawer. We're looking at those Playboys every night.
Yeah.
And that was the famous Bo Derek Playboy, which we talked about earlier.
And as he walks across the room, he feels something.
That's what I said. He finds a floorboard, opens it,
scrunched under the floorboard.
And we fade to black. And we see a commercial for Captain America.
Did we see a Captain America commercial?
Well, for the Captain America airing on FX. The first one.
Yeah, I like that scene. I like that, he kind of rushes the job. He probably should have checked to see if it was booby-trapped at all, the box, but he hears Zodiac's car out front, and, he's got to kind of speed it up a little bit. I like that it was booby-trapped. And as he says when we come back from commercial, he says that, his contact, Emmett, basically taught him well about how to protect his secrets.
Stuff. Yeah, he taught him how to lock up the Playboys, and put zappers on money.
Yep.
So Act 2 begins. We're just rushing right along because I can tell Jeff's fading.
I'm hanging.
Oh, Jeff's hanging. I'm sorry. Stan and Nina meet. She tells him that the walk-in has gotten there. She totally plays him, which we find out later. He's about, I gotta go back to the office and tell him about this walk-in. We gotta figure out who this walk-in is. He's like a one-track mind. She's like, oh, your folks can wait for an hour.
Yeah.
Start the porn music. Bow, chicka, chicka, bow. But we cut short. We don't get to see
I'm watching that scene, and she's like, well, they could wait about an hour, and I'm just looking at Noah Emmerich's face, and I almost was expecting him to be like, I can get it done in 10 minutes.
Hour?
Hour? Why so long?
An hour? Really? Well, maybe if I shower afterward. Then we cut back. Phil awakens in the Zodiac's bedroom, and we find out the Zodiac killer has a name. And his name is Fred.
Fred.
And he says, Fred, I'm a friend of Paul's. That's what the Emmett's code name was, Paul.
Yep.
And Phil is tied to the dresser. And it's a very just quick scene saying, Fred's on the phone saying, I liked the steak dinner. It was very good. He's reading some kind of code in a very angry, scared voice, which is John Carroll Lynch does very good.
Who's he giving the code to?
Well, I don't know. Who is he giving that code to?
Exactly. Who's he giving the
code
to?
And see, that brought up it's interesting you say that, because, yes, he's giving this code, and nothing comes out. We don't know what happens after he gives that code. Number two, there was a moment in this whole sequence of events that happened with Fred that I was wondering if Fred was playing Phil. I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid myself, but there was a moment where it seemed like Fred was digging for information on Phil, and Phil didn't offer it up. So it was an interesting scene because again,
at the end when he asked about Phil's
was that your son? And yeah, I felt like what's he fishing for? Why would he ask that?
I just thought it was natural conversation. I didn't read into it, but Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know.
But I also like that the writing stayed true to. It could have been very easy. I think that Philip says, "Well, I'm not supposed to tell you that, or that's not your concern, or something like that." But and when he said "but," or he says some kind of linking word there, when I was like, "Oh, don't do it."
He's going to reveal it, but he didn't.
Right? No, he didn't. Right. He's just like, "But I got to go now," or whatever. And I was like, "That's awesome." They kept him true to the mission, and I like that.
Yeah,
because they did get a little bit. There was a bond, Fred lets him go once he finds out that.
Fred is like, Philip is a master of like double talk, and he convinces him, look, I was a friend of your friend, and don't shoot me. Please don't shoot me.
Well, and clearly, Fred had feelings towards.
Emmett.
Friendship feelings towards Emmett, and we find out that the model airplanes that way cool model AT-AT were actually for Emmett's son for his birthday, and there's a friendship there, and he takes it hard finding out that he's dead. So
maybe those are Emmett's Playboys that he kept locked up. I'm just reaching. I'm sorry. That's a reach. Emmett would come out. I was like, dude, you got the latest issue.
Hey, Scott. Give me your stack of Playboys. I'll hold on to them for you for safekeeping, okay?
That's the kind of friend that I am. Your wife will never find out.
I'm going to keep them in this locked drawer.
And only you and I have the key.
That won't be suspicious. All right, that was a little creepy.
He is a Zodiac killer. Oh, yeah. We cut back at the.
Hold on a second. That reminds me of. So Scott and I in high school we're big comic book readers, geeks, and fans.
Which there were very few of when we were in high school.
That's true.
The culture was not like it is now.
No, not at all. So Scott was a big fan of the X-Men. I was a big fan of the Flash. And for some reason, it was like, one person had chocolate, the other person had peanut butter. But for some reason, I had the X-Men comics and he had the Flash comics. So we traded. But he was big into the Flash and he really liked the Flash. So Scott gives me, I think, like the first 6 issues of the series, 6 or 7 issues of the series. And he's like, I'll give you these. And then but the deal is you have to go out and get every new issue. Let me read it as well. And you can keep, So I traded him my X-Men for his.
You gave me a cool. I remember you gave me a cool Wolverine action figure that I had for the longest time.
I gave you cool stuff like I always do.
Yeah, you gave me a lot of cool stuff. I give you nothing. That's you can say it. I'm.
But so we make this trade. I give you these X-Men comics. Scott gives me these Flash comics, and he never sees another Flash issue.
And you've been making up to me ever since.
It's like 20 years later, I finally sent him a stack of like the first 25 issues of Flash. Here you go. Catch up.
What the heck? And I'm like, I can't read all this. What the heck?
This was the worst deal ever.
So
anyway.
This show is brought out a strange side to us. It's funny because I didn't know if I'd be able to talk much about this episode. I was like, oh, it's kind of dry. It was kind of building. Now we talked for almost an hour. And
I'm not really sure we've been talking about the
episode. So we go back to Philip and Liz's house, and she's playing the game of life with the kids. And Henry's like, I don't want to play this. I want to be. This game is boring. Real life's more exciting.
Right.
Or something like that. And then she gets a phone call. It's another number station message, a secret message. And she's like, hey, kids, want to go to the movies? Let's go see Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
And
everyone's like, yeah, we're done with Game of Life. Let's go watch it.
Paige is like, what? Oh, man. And it kind of this whole thing kind of cuts back and forth between. Well, and then the next thing is this actor is really short. So the next scene was Philip talking Fred out of shooting him, and he gives us some information. Excuse me, about Emmett/Paul and his life, and that's kind of the end of the act. And then we come back into Act 3. Liz, proving to be the worst mother ever again, ditches the kids. Now, this is what kills me. She gets this call. Now, the whole episode, she's been totally paranoid about leaving the kids alone. And she then has to do this mission, right? And she's like, I'm just going to leave it at the movies. I'm like, what? She's just going to leave them at the movie theater, which I guess, well, in a way, I guess the kids would kind of be safe in a crowd. I don't know, but as we learned last season, the kids are open to hitchhiking.
Right.
Something bad can happen if you leave those kids alone. So she leaves the kid, and I love Paige was really annoyed. She was mad. And Henry was just disappointed. Henry was like, oh, man. So
he's disappointed, but Paige is she's getting annoyed and starting to really smell
something's not right.
Weird.
Yeah, yep. Something weird is going on. And that's going to come into play at the end of the episode. And then we have Fred and Phil, and Phil tells Fred that Emmett was the guy's his real name. And this is where we get the big information about what the drop was. First of all, we learn that boy's all alone, and that Fred would like to leave all the money that he got. He'd like to give that to the boy. And Emmett and Philip's like, well, that's very, very nice of you, but I can't do that. That can't happen. There can be no communication with the boy. And then Fred says, well, did you drop the information off? Did you deliver the information to the people? And Philip was like, what information? Well, the drop. Did you take care of that? And Philip's like, well, everything's been on hold since the death. And that's when Fred reveals what that information was, which ties into what Oleg is waiting for, which is settings, information, the plant where they're grinding the propellers that is moving. Something with propellers. I don't know what the propellers are.
So what I think is
bombs.
No. What I did was I did a little looking, and I think that this ties into this period of the U.S. and that Fred is probably an analog to a famous spy. John, what was his name? John Allen? John Anthony Walker, who was a Navy petty officer who was working for. He had basically turned spy for the Russians, and the propeller in the 80s. It was secrets were leaked to the Russians that we had figured out a way to find Russian submarines. Because of the cavitation that they kick off from the propellers. So I just wonder if this is kind of
what is cavitation? What does that mean?
Cavitation is the noise of a propeller. It's the noise that a propeller makes in the water.
Got it.
And it kicks off sound waves, and you can find that with sonar. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so that was a big deal in the 80s because the Russian submarines were Russian Navy fleet was pretty fearsome.
So do you think this could be the reverse of that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying
because this is like having to do with something U.S. based.
Yeah, maybe we found a. Maybe it's got to do with.
He's found a way. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying maybe we found a way to make our submarines quieter with this special propeller.
Maybe.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Interesting. All right. Well, that explains a lot because I had no idea what the heck that was all about. I mean, when I thought propellers, I thought airplanes, which at this point they don't have propellers on airplanes. And then I thought, torpedoes, which is World War II. So I'm way off on my propellers.
Yeah, and I think that is it this one or is it a scene of an image from the preview for the next episode where I think they show you in the factory.
Yeah, no, that's next week.
That's next week. So yeah, so you see the propeller that they're working on. I think it's got to do with our submarine technology.
Got it.
So
awesome. Thank you.
I'm going to do more work into it. I want to do more looking into it because there were a couple of things going on at that time, spy wise. And
that's why I love Jeff, because he's all into the spy and the history. And
I dig that. That stuff's awesome.
You are awesome, Jeff. You're the man.
Thank you.
Have another sip of coffee. Superman mug on me. You must be almost out of coffee.
I am.
It must be very cold. Now, the thing that was interesting to me is that Phil said, I'll be in contact, which led me to believe that maybe we're going to see Fred again. That maybe Fred will become Philip's,
Well, like you said, he's a big name actor. He's not going to just be on.
Well, yeah, but some big name actors sometimes only show up for a couple episodes. Just they don't want to get tied down to a series. Although I don't know. I don't think John Cardinal should have a problem with that. So, the next thing we've got is Liz helping a spy, a Sandinista, as you said.
Sandinista.
This woman who is posing as an exchange student from Costa Rica has been partying with a congressional aide. They've done some pills, they've smoked some crack, and things have gone wrong.
Yep.
And that's an interesting quote from Elizabeth when she talks to the girl. She says, "Things can go wrong. They usually do. We get through it," which is a telling line for this whole thing that basically for the whole episode is things can go wrong, they usually do, and we get through it. And it's interesting because when she's around the kids, she's completely a wreck. As soon as she got into that mission, she knew, bam, 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 what do I do? She got that dude to throw up, so he wasn't, the drugs were out of his body. He was
stuck a finger down his throat, made him barf.
Then walked away, got some junk food, and I don't know, a glass of milk. What do you give someone? They didn't have Red Bull back then, so I don't know what she gave her to drink. And later on, she says, "Don't party with anymore. Don't party with them anymore. Be his girlfriend," which is exactly what Nina's doing. So.
And then she says, and then the last thing she says is, "You guys have
your revolution is beautiful. A foothold for us in Central America. Call anytime."
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't like that. Sorry.
No, it wasn't like that.
Sorry. We also learn as this act unfolds that the FBI is looking for the walk-in, and we didn't get much of Richard Thomas in this episode, but he does have a great line. Whenever he delivers a line, he's always so much gravitas in his voice.
Yeah,
it's like the last man who walked into gave them like some nuclear codes, the trigger codes for nuclear things. Like, and then he says, "Let's figure out who this guy is before Brett Shove starts building his own space shuttle." And I was just like, wow, that guy delivers. He can only be in one scene, and it's just like, that's all I need. It's great. And then we learn who that guy was. As we get in Act 4, we learn that guy's name is Bruce Dameran, and he works at the World Bank, which is a nice place to start getting your information from if you're a communist country,
Yeah.
So we don't know what Mr. Dameran has to offer, but he has offered up his services to the Russians, and the FBI knows who he is. And Stan decides, instead of going right out and arresting this dude, let's follow him and let's start seeing what he wants. So Bruce Dameran is a new player in the world of commerce.
And we see Stan tracking him to a laundromat.
Yes. Which is an interesting thing at the end of that scene. Stan's just sitting there watching. And of course, Stan should be home trying to make his marriage work.
Right.
But no, he's sitting outside the laundromat, and that guy looks right at camera, and it's kind of weird. It's almost as if he's looking at Stan. That was an interesting moment. Anyway, we cut back to Liz at home, watching the utility guys clean up, and this is where it gets interesting, because they're cleaning up where earlier in the episode they were jackhammering on the street and doing all this really loud work, right? I don't know if you remember that. She was in a phone she was in a phone conversation with Philip when he was off doing his looking on Fred, and there's jackhammers going off, and it's you didn't see those guys. I think you got one quick shot of a guy working the jackhammer, but the jackhammer was distracting enough throughout that whole phone conversation that there was a point to it. And I think, the interesting thing was that when those utility guys leave, she's watching them leave. They're gone. She looks away. She gets up. The truck is gone, and the street is nothing has been done to that street.
Right.
Nothing has been jacked up. I mean, for the amount of work that was supposed to be going on, nothing has happened.
Right.
So, and this is after the movies, right? Yes, this is after they went to the movies. So, something's up.
Totally.
Now, either they're
you saw that one guy
constantly looking at it. Now, either there was two things. It was either there's a possibility. Now, it could be they're watching them, which is what they want us to believe, because this paranoia is the theme of this episode. But there's a possibility they could be setting up shop in Stan's house.
Right.
He's an FBI agent. They're trying to turn him. They want to know what he knows.
Right.
There is that possibility, and as we've seen earlier in the episode, they don't share information. You know, the Russians aren't sharing information with each other. That's for sure. Oleg needs this important document for a special mission, but Ivanovich doesn't know what that is.
Right.
Otherwise, he'd say, let's get the drop. 2 agents have been killed, but Oleg doesn't know anything about that. They don't share information. So, Russians are paranoid people. That's what I got from this. Soviets.
That's right.
Sorry. Bill decides to go home, even though Martha has 101 fever, proving that he is both the worst and the best husband ever. Right? He goes home. Home to his real wife, and kids, and ditches the. Well, no, because Martha is his real wife. He was never officially married to Elizabeth.
Right. So, but the thing is that he said that his plane had been canceled or delayed.
The canceled flight was canceled. He's stuck in Boston.
Right. So he can't come home.
Right.
And she's like, "Well, that's fine anyway, because
I can take care of myself because I'm going to get a gun."
Right.
Martha's going to get a gun, which that's going to go bad.
Yeah, that can't.
Something's going to go wrong with that eventually.
Yep.
Something's going to go wrong with Martha. I have a feeling that Martha may be the first fatality of this. Well, Chris was killed last year, so I guess Chris was the first fatality. I don't know. I feel bad.
I don't know. The thing is that, like you said earlier, they can't keep this storyline going up much long. I mean, it's at some point it's already starting to stretch that band of disbelief, and at some point it's just going to snap it. So she's got to either get savvy or get dead. I mean, there's just
Well, she's a smart woman. She's going to be a clerk. She's going to have, what is it? DS9 clearance? What is that?
GS9?
GS9 clearance. Yeah, she's going to get up to GS9 if she's a clerk. So.
Yeah, so
she's going to pull a Nina. I've been married to a Russian agent for 4 years. I've been providing him information. Now, you can either turn me in and send me to the gulag or prison. Okay, that's what we're going to do. No, wait, no, too late. That's the way our government is. It's like, yes, you're going to prison, and we're going to interrogate you for hours. Interesting scene coming with Nina. Nina's typing a report of her moments with Stan.
Very graphic.
Very graphic and invasive report, I would say. If they're asking that type of information from her, she could have said, I slept with him. But she goes, what did she say orally?
I pleasured him orally.
And then he
allowed him to penetrate me.
I
mean, it's just like...
Couldn't she just said we had sex?
Yeah, right. But it's just matter of fact. We did this and then this.
This was an interesting thing, too. This was when she was saying this stuff, I was thinking, wow, she's really tortured, or she's becoming kind of a prostitute for the Mother Russia. But then at the end, she made that statement that she thinks that his feelings are really growing deeper. And I started to wonder if maybe she's talking about herself, if her feelings are growing deeper for Stan. I don't know. Because there's that moment where they've just made love and she turns over and faces, away from him. And she didn't look disgusted or angered or anything like that.
And she didn't have that, like, I'm like an expert manipulator on her face.
Right. She didn't look like I've discussed myself because this man killed my friend. She looked like she could be really falling in love with Stan. So
I mean, when you roll over on your side and you put your hands in that angelic double prayer pose underneath your head, that's wholly innocent.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I wonder if she's conflicted too, obviously, because.
But look at her face. Look at her face when she's typing that report up, right? And she, we cut to what she's writing, the oral and then the penetration, and then you cut to her face as she's looking, and it's almost like the look on her face is, I took this that it was like she didn't really want to put this down, but her duty demands that she does it, and she's not real. It was almost like sleeping with Stan was fine. She was okay with that. But what she's doing now, this is something she's not so okay with.
Right, and that's what I was saying. It was kind of an invasive report where she's giving all these,
lurid details,
and what does she think of herself? And I don't know what to read about that scene because Jeff is yawning. We'll
it's try and wrap this up. It's me.
We'll try and wrap this up. I'm sorry. We'll just jump ahead.
Scott just had flashbacks to high school. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah. How many times do you think you used that line, Joe?
Never. I would never use that line.
I think I used it once, and I had it used on me 3 times.
Oh, okay.
So it balanced out, I guess. But it's a truthful line. Anyway, at home, Paige decides to do some more snooping. She's angry at Mom. So she picks up a postcard that was mailed from Crescent, Pennsylvania, where we must assume that Liz was staying when she was recuperating from her bullet wounds. And she asks for Helen Levis. Helen Levis's phone number and address. Who's Helen Levis?
I'm assuming it's the woman, the cabin that she was at.
Now, is that supposed to be? Is that name supposed to be like her?
Probably her code name.
Her aunt's name? Is that the what they used? I don't know. That name has never been brought up before. So
no. So it was a little weird. I mean, the whole thing between the postcard, because we didn't see a postcard to begin with, right? We didn't see the reception of a postcard.
Yeah, but she's been gone for months, so postcards could have been sent.
But I mean that's the assumption that we're making, that that's the place that she recuperated from, and so then that's the. But even then, it seems weird. Why would you get a postcard from the place that she recuperated from?
Well, she was off helping her aunt recover. Remember, she went to take care of her aunt. That was the cover.
So why would you? Yeah, but you also need to receive a postcard saying thank you for helping me recover. I didn't see what was written on the postcard either.
I think the postcard was Elizabeth that she sent during her recovery period. Hey, I'm thinking, because, it's not the internet. You don't.
I gotcha.
You don't call all the time, because it's long distance calling would have been expensive. So you just drop a 15-cent stamp on a postcard saying, "Thinking you guys, look at this beautiful."
Oh my lord, 15-cent stamps.
Remember that? You had a special price for postcards and a different price for letters.
Dude, that seems like 30 years ago.
Postcards were really a fun thing to do. I remember I went to a trip to Washington, D.C., and I wrote postcards, and I sent them on a Tuesday, and I got back before the year arrived. I put a postcard in the mail. Did you get it? No. 2 days later. Hey, I got those postcards you sent last week.
Postcards and mixtapes. Tell you.
Best things ever.
That's right.
These kids these days don't know what they're missing with the mixtapes.
That's true. We'll talk about that.
I'm waiting for a blog. Yeah, if we ever get to that. I'm waiting for some cool guy to make a mixtape for Paige.
Oh, yeah.
You're really going to love this song. It's by a group called The Smiths. They're really deep.
So she wrote the number that she got. She wrote it on her hand.
Right. Smart girl.
But then Dad comes home.
And it was another cool thing about this. Dad comes home, and Elizabeth says, "You're home." And there's such a surprise and relief. But did you notice how relieved she was that he was home?
Yep.
And Paige is like, "Oh, good to see you. Bye."
Yeah.
And she's gonna go upstairs and figure out how she's gonna make a phone call, long distance phone call to Pennsylvania and not have her parents find out about it. Because back then you got the phone record. It's like, who's calling Pennsylvania?
That's right. Those things show up on phone bills.
What? $12? What was that for? Who called Pennsylvania at 6 o'clock in the evening? Ah! Elizabeth! Paige!
Yep.
That's what you used to have to do, though. Make phone calls, directory, and all that stuff.
Remember when you'd be somewhere and you wanted your mom or your parents to pick you up and you didn't have money for the change, so you're like, hey, I need to make a collect call, and the other person would be like, I have a collect call from Scott, will you take the charges? And you'd be like, Mom, rec center now, click, and hang up.
I never did that because I never
had all the time.
No, man, I never would have made a collect call to my parents. That never would have happened. I would have walked home before I made a collect call because they would have been so angry at me.
No, but you never made the collect call because both parties hung up. So you just shouted. You'd be like, rec center now, click, and then
never did that.
Yeah, that's how we got around it.
You're smart,
kids, man.
You're smart, man. Did you get deserted at the rec center all the time? They had to make collect calls.
Yeah, I never had change on me. I think because I blew it on video games.
I didn't play video games.
Video games were a quarter, right?
Yep. Back when they were...
Now if you want to play a cool video game to last 30 seconds, it's like $1.
Yeah, $1. You are dead. Sorry. Yeah, you could play I used to play Tempest. That was my game. For a quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you see the previews for next week?
I didn't. Well, we're not done with this episode yet.
Oh, we're not?
We had the stand scene, but the last thing was some more important reflective stuff. Which the last scene was Philip and Elizabeth. They're talking about it'll be tomorrow if they want us to go. I don't know what that was all about. That was just something. Philip walked into the room after getting some message from Moscow that it'll be tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow whether they want us to go. I don't know what that is.
Probably that thing at the with the propeller.
Maybe. Okay, but then they start talking. This is the moment. This is the big dramatic moment in the episode. Well, this is the big moment between the two of them because and actually they haven't really been together without being interrupted until this moment in the whole episode. Right. They keep getting interrupted, but. Elizabeth is finally able to express what's been eating her up, and she says, I keep thinking about her son and what happened to him. And Philip says, I saw him. I heard him, screaming as I was walking away. And Elizabeth says, the center will make sure he's taken care of. And Philip says, the center will make sure he's taken care of. And she goes, taken care of? And Philip says, yeah. Now, I don't know if that yeah meant they're going to take care of the problem, or I don't know what that means. I don't know. It was very ambiguous.
It was, yeah.
But she was implying, are they going to take care of him? They're going to take him out.
Right. They're going to make that kid disappear.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Because, he has nothing to do with it. But now next week's episode led me to believe that she's going to try and contact the kid because there's a letter.
Yeah.
So, and then the last thing is she says, she says all these years I've never worried about the kids. She says now she's worried about the kids, and how are we going to live like this? And Philip says we'll get used to it. Basically saying bad things happen, they always do. We make it work. We find a way to make it work. And then the best part, the season ends on a really somber note where he says, I feel terrible. I brought Henry into this. And she says, she didn't have a choice. And he's like, yeah, I did. Which is, in a way, I took that as Philip saying, becoming Americanized, Westernized, basically. I do have a choice. It's not all about Mother Russia. I put my child's life in harm, and I shouldn't have done that. And I did have a choice. So that was interesting. It was a very somber end to the episode.
It was we had a role reversal in this episode. We had a softer Elizabeth as she embraced her more maternal side, and especially on that end when she was like, "How can we live like this?" And that was a very Philip thing to say from season one.
Yeah, exactly.
And her reaction in season one would have been like, "Well, we just do what we do." This one, now the shoe's on the other foot. How are we going to live like this? Because she's in an unfamiliar and uncomfortable territory with her instincts and towards her children. And now it's Philip's turn to say, he's the one who's the hardliner.
I'm not. But then he doesn't at the end. He says, when he says, "I had a choice," like I said, usually it's the party before everything else. And he's saying, "I'm an individual. I can make my own choice," which is an interest.
So somewhere down the line, season 4 or 5, should this go that far, one of these two starts to break and ends up either flipping or
I could never see the other side. I could never see them leaving each other. I could never see one.
They have to go together.
I would only see them going together if they were to flip sometime in the future, which would be actually really cool. If they, I don't want them to do that, but if they hit a creative rut, they could say, "Let's have them flip and become double agents," and it could be a whole new series.
Yeah.
It would be interesting, but that's way off in the future, man.
Yeah.
There's so much that's got to go on, man.
Yeah.
It's only 1981/82. They still have to see E.T. Let's see Return of the Jedi.
But it all depends.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
I think it all hinges on the kids.
I think it does. And it depends on what Paige finds out. That is how are they going to handle that? What are they going to do with that?
And what happens?
Marvelous.
Right. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking is that the family gets threatened, the kids get threatened. Something happens to the kids or the looming threat of the kids. And again, it's not this season, it's not next season, it's down the line. And you know what? They don't flip, but they don't work for Mother Russia either. They just, we're not doing this anymore.
They moved to Costa Rica.
Exactly. So they brings them into conflict with the Russians because the Russians are like, no, you don't just walk away from this.
Well, right. Yeah, you don't.
So they go, say, on the run, or they go somewhere. The Russians follow them, and maybe that actually is the impetus for them to work with the FBI or to call in some favors, call in some help.
We've written the end of the series. We don't need to talk about that anymore.
Hey, you still got Weisberg's. Get him on the phone. Let's talk.
Okay. Let's just we got to figure it out, man. This is what. And then it could turn into running on empty, and they could be. Yeah.
Just call them up. Just say, look, you got this part. We got the ending. Okay, and let's just get that contract written and let's go.
Yeah, that's right around the corner. Well, that's the end of this episode, and now we come to. It was like I said. I think it was a good episode. Second time through it, I appreciated it more than the first time because I liked that there were layers to this episode that if you were in a dream fugue that you wouldn't have noticed them. But there's a lot of stuff in this episode. But I think that the next few weeks, and this is basically mythology building. This is what this episode. Right. This is laying the groundwork for what's going to happen the rest, which is typical. I mean, the first episode of a season is always bring us back into what happened at the end of season 1, reintroduce all the characters, something exciting happens, and bam! And then episode 2 is like, okay, we slow down, and here are all the pieces that are going to be in play. Right. Throughout the rest of the season.
What I liked about this episode is that I podcast about on Biters. I podcast for Walking Dead, and Walking Dead has kind of similar beats. We came back to the season with I thought was a kind of slow episode, and the second episode of the second half of the season. That was your momentum. That was like last week's Americans episode. But in a show like that, when they take a week off, when they give you that down week to kind of relax and give you information and character build and stuff like that, it really feels down. It really feels like you took that week off. Whereas this week, it's not as momentous as last week, and you've built all the character stuff, but you didn't downshift so much. It's not a noticeable downshift. It's, you dropped a gear.
Well, it's just like I said, they're just feeding you a lot of information. Like a good conspiracy thriller, which, like if you watch 3 Days of the Condor, or you watch Parallax View, I mean, those things are mostly non-action sequences. They're just like very all about the information and trying to uncover the conspiracy. And so that's what I like about that. I like that this show has that tone, although they're able to ramp up the action a little better than I liked that show Rubicon that was on AMC.
That was a great show.
Loved that show, but that show was all slow burn. There wasn't a lot of the action.
Right.
And so I like the mix in this show better than what they did in Rubicon. And plus, it's an 80s show. I like that the attention to detail, nostalgia stuff. I mean, you and I get to sit here and talk about Where's the Lost Ark and Bo Derek, and it's like, I mean, we could just do that, but we also get to talk about the show. That's great too.
Right. Yeah.
Now we come to something that we do in a podcast that we haven't done yet for Comrades. We did it.
We haven't done it all season so far.
Well, we've only had 2 podcasts, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Jeez. Cut me some slack. Last week we talked for 9 hours until we had to cut it short. It is what we call the random crew members. Random crew members on the show. They're the random crew members on the show. Yeah. Jeff, who are our random crew members?
Don't worry, Scott has a different theme song every week.
And all written by me.
So, so 3 random crew members this week. First one is Michelle Johnson.
Michelle Johnson, come on down. What's Michelle?
She is the key hairstylist.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Especially in a period show like this.
Yeah, so she's done American Hustle.
Awesome. Oh, really?
Yep. Masters of Sex.
Oh, very good.
So she's got period pieces under her belt. Yeah. She's I thought this was interesting. She appears to be Susan Sarandon's personal stylist because a lot of what Susan Sarandon's done. The Big Wedding, That's My Boy, Arbitrage, Robot and Frank, Miraculous Year. She was her stylist for all those. She also, if you go way back in time, she also worked on Weekend at Bernie's.
Wayback Machine.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 2, the live
Go
action
Ninja,
ones.
go Ninja, go.
And Homicide.
Oh yeah. And there we bring in the Barry Levinson Tom Fontana connection for this scene. We're always digging around for Homicide wire connections, and there it is. Right.
Well, hold on a second. I made it a connection across all 3 crew members for this week that I didn't intend to. But so Michelle Johnson there, Chris Senatiempo.
Chris, you're the man, Chris. What does Chris do?
He is the fight coordinator and Matthew Reese's stunt double.
Nice, Chris, fight coordinator and stunt.
Yeah, so Chris worked on Dark Knight Rises, the upcoming 22 Jump Street.
Yes.
Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, Zombieland, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I mean, this guy's IMDb list is huge.
It is.
He also did stunts and fight coordinations for Pan Am and Robot and Frank. Now, Robot and Frank had Michelle Johnson, who was the stylist for Susan Sarandon. Get where we're going with this?
Little side note about Robot and Frank. My good friend of mine did the robot.
Who's your good friend?
Tony Gardner.
Oh, Tony Gardner.
Tony Gardner, a graduate of North Olmsted High School, who owns a shop, Alterian Studios, and all. A little shout out to my good friend Tony. I worked with him in the 90s, and his company did the special makeup effects for Bad Grandpa.
Okay, so... No.
Okay, moving on.
No,
thanks,
shout out to Tony.
Who cares?
No. Is that what I meant? All right, so the third one, I'm just excited to get to what my link is here. The third one is Kim DeLeese.
Kim
DeLeese is our script supervisor.
Awesome.
Okay, she's worked on Girls, Good Wife, Pan Am.
Wait a minute, I got one. She worked on Pan Am. Someone else worked on Pan Am.
Yeah, Chris Senatiempo. Also,
she worked on Robot and Frank too.
She worked on Robot and Frank.
Wow. That's like random crew members of the week.
Random. Yeah, it's like 1 degree of separation.
That would be random squared. Wait, no, what's cubed?
Yeah.
No, is that 3? Is
it
cubed?
Cubed. Really? Someone... Calculus, man, come on.
I didn't take calculus, man.
You didn't?
I got to algebra 2 and that was it. They said you only need to have 3. You only need 3 things of math in high school. And I said, really? That's it? 3? And I'm terrible, man. And I was like, wait a minute. You're making me do all this calculus and algebra stuff when all I need is the calculator that'll say, this is how much your food costs and this is how much the tax is. What do I need that to be a filmmaker to write? Why do I need all that stuff? So I took algebra, geometry, algebra 2, and I was done. What do you use algebra for, Jeff? Give me an example of the use of algebra.
Dude, it's 3:01 in the morning. Come on. Don't make me think.
What? See? You can't even think. There's no practical use. I can't think of a practical use. Geometry I can figure out, you know?
All right. On that note, now that Scott's bashing math.
I'm not bashing math. I just don't know any practical uses. Okay, I'll stop.
Hashtag Scott hates math.
Before we move on, I must say that I'm an employee of Cartoon Network, and the opinions expressed on the Comrades podcast are my own and do not reflect those of Cartoon Network or Turner Broadcasting System, which is my parent company. Jeff, who are you? Who is your parent company?
My parent company is myself, and I am... You done with the paper over there?
Is it making a lot of noise? I'm sorry, I had to get my notes ready for all the stuff I have to read. Sorry.
I am the...
Now you're shaking paper. What are you, pounding the mic on the desk there? Bam, bam.
Okay.
It's late.
Oh my gosh, it's 3:02 in the morning. So I'm the writer.
Hey, did you post the links to your comic? Jim's gonna kill me. This look he's giving me is like, I'm gonna reach through this computer. Did you post the links on the Facebook page?
No, I did not. I forgot that. Right. I'm the writer of 2 comic books, Z-Girl and the 4 Tigers, about a special ops team led by a female zombie who fights. Together they fight monsters and demons that are trying to wipe out humanity. You can check that out in the awesome artwork by Kirk Manley at zgirl.org, as well as Dead Man's Party, about a hitman at the top of his game who is forced to put a contract out on himself at deadmansparty.org.
Whatever you do, don't go to West Wendover. Don't go to Wendover.
Do not. It has been taken over by porn trolls.
And not the 80s type of porn, like Bo Derek. It's nasty stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, we made it through. I'm sorry, folks. This was a long one. I just want to say the music you hear on this episode is called Target Practice. It's by the group Expiate. You can find a link to their album on our Facebook page for Comrades. It features the guitar playing of Mr. Dave Sampson, the drummer of the late Sean Flynn. And you can go to expiate.bandcamp.com for more information about them and the music. And
make sure you check out SouthgateMediaGroup.com for other podcasts, such as we just added a new one called DC. It's either DC Watchtower or Watchtower. It's all about DC Comics. I do podcasts for Biters, which is Walking Dead, along with Kirk Manley. I think they've got a Game of Thrones one that they're starting. Doctor Who, S.H.I.E.L.D., you name it, there's a podcast for it. Check it out.
And if you go to their webpage, please check out the sponsors who advertise on the webpage, because those are actually sponsoring Southgate Media, including the t-shirt company and Audible.com. And also, if you're listening to this on Poptos, please continue to read Poptos. There's so much great music literature on this website. some great film writing on the website, and a little bit of TV. Kind of been laxed on that. Sorry, folks. But hey, we're number 9 in music. Woo!
Technically number 8, because
if
somebody at number 1 is dead. So
gone, yeah. But you know.
All right, let's wrap this up. Put this one to bed.
Jeff wants to go to bed, so we'll say good night, my friends. We'll talk to you next week after the next episode of The Americans.
Adios.
Adios.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. Help keep this fund going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.